everybody, it's Joy. How are you today? I am hopping along with Team Tiny for the Embossing Folder Fridays series. And what that means is on the second Friday of every month, there's a group of us that feature embossing folders. Now, if you're like me, you have hundreds of folders and maybe they've never seen any love. Amazingly enough, for our cloud theme, I only had one folder and I'm only showing you one project with it. So I am using a 120-pound cardstock, and I lightly missed that and put that through the Doris cloud embossing folder and run it through my platinum. By misting it with water, you're preventing the paper from cracking. So if you have an issue with cracking, that is how you fix it. So I decided to go with a very easy design that would be good for any skill level because I think we all start somewhere. And I always want to include everybody in on this, but I also think that this design is fantastically cute and appropriate for all skill levels. So you're going to ask me what Team Tiny is. Team Tiny are a bunch of card making YouTubers that have less than 1,000 subscribers. So you hopping along with us means the world to us, and we all would love it if you would like and subscribe to our channels and leave us a comment. So please do that if you feel so inclined, and you will find us in the search bar by putting in hashtag EFF3 this month. So next month will be EFF4. That's Edward Frank 3. So what I did was I got out a bunch of my scraps in the colors of the rainbow, and I cut down 1/4 inch strips, and I'm putting that roughly at the top, I don't know, third of the paper to a half, whatever it measures out to. I just eyeballed it. This is nothing that you're seeing here today is precise, nor is it measured out. It's kind of eyeballed. So now that I'm done gluing those down, I am taking a Doris blending stub and tumbled glass distress oxide ink, which happens to be my favorite color. And I am taking a light hand and I am just rubbing that stub over the embossed clouds, and that just kind of gives a outline of the clouds and a nice little sky background. So you'll see me now using my trimmer, and I measured out kind of, I don't know, right around 3 inches to cut my paper at. And basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of getting to the halfway mark a little more or less, but and that's because I'm going to put the clouds on either side of the rainbow, right? So you'll see me kind of eyeballing it, seeing which side needs to go where. And ultimately, like I said, it's not 100% measured because I'm going to use my rainbow panel because it's cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 so that I have a place to cut. So there's no guessing in it. So I am applying foam tape to each of the panels. I am not putting them all the way down because I am going to run that through my trimmer, and the thicker it is, the harder it is to cut, and the paper starts to shred. So that's a little tip, kind of leave your paper off. I did on this panel even though I left a space without tape, I still over taped it, and you'll see that I struggle a little bit with my trimmer, but everything worked out fine. I wasn't harmed, the paper wasn't harmed, the card wasn't harmed. What a great day, right? So, I mean, come on. So, again, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, it would mean the world to me as I'm trying to grow my channel. And I know all the other girls would appreciate it too. One little trick that I do is I add wet glue to my foam tape, and that's because it's so sticky that once you put it down, it's very hard to get it back up if you don't go down on it straight. So you get a little bit of wiggle room. Now you're seeing that I'm kind of like hammering down the lever of my trimmer, and that's because of how thick it is. The paper all stacked together. So, and that's just because I didn't want to tear the paper. I ultimately cut this panel down to 3 3/4 by 5. That tends to be my typical focal panel size that I like, because I like a nice border, black border for that matter, around most of my cards. Sometimes I use other colors, but for the most part, you'll always see me using black, because black tends to draw the eye in, and it's just a nice neutral panel that makes everything pop. So I use my Barely Art Glue to put down my panel, and I get that nice and straight. Now, because there are so many layers and we have a little bit of time, once I glue this down onto my A2 card base, which a normal A2 card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So when folded, it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. In case you didn't know or you need a place to stop, I will link my website down below. If you go to the tips and trick area, you'll see a download that kind of gives you the sizes of cards and the mattings if you need them. That was very helpful to me when I first started out, and so I have always left that up on my website. So, to continue on with the design of my card, I am using a Scrappy Tales die set called Garden Stand Animals, and I love the Labrador in this one. In fact, I used it earlier this week because I love it so much. I used to have a black lab that was my best friend, and I miss him terribly, but I am so glad that he was in my life for all those years. So I die cut him out on 110-pound black cardstock. I originally did 3 layers. I lost one in my craft room. Imagine that. So anyway, I only stacked the 2, but because it was 110 pound cardstock, it wasn't necessary. I am now stamping a sentiment from Create and Inspire, which was Courtney Kraber's company. This has now been discontinued, but I love the saying. It says, friends are what brings the world color, or something to that effect. Anyway, from there, I heat embossed that in clear powder. I stamped that down with the VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink so that it would still remain wet long enough for me to emboss it. And I left the heat gun in just because I love watching that melt, and I figure you probably do too. One tip with embossing: if you don't get a smooth finish, heat it from the back and from the front, and every time it will work. So then I used a tonic layered clouds die to frame out that sentiment, and then I'm using the tumbled glass again just to go around the edges to make the cloud pop and to give it more interest. I'm all about texture, I'm all about dimension when I make my cards, so this is something that you will always see me do on my channel. So with that, I always use foam tape or multiple layers because I do like dimension. So I'm leaving in the part where I'm kind of fiddling around with my design. My original thought was that I was going to have the dog kind of on the cloud, but my sentiment was bigger than what I had thought it was. So I'm just kind of playing around with placement. So because I popped up those layers with the embossed clouds, I had to pop up about half of my cloud with foam tape. By popping up only half of it, when I lay it down on the embossed area, the tape will fill in the gap where the rainbow is, if that makes any sense to you. Basically, what happens is, if you don't have your layers level on your card, when you put it through the mail, it will get crushed, it will bend, it will crease, and it's just not very pretty when you give it to your recipient. And I know that when I give a card away, I am giving away a part of me, a part of my heart. So I want my recipient to know that I thought of them, and I thought enough of them to give them a well-constructed card. So I took my Labrador and I put him down with the Barely Art glue as well. And I love that his nose is like right there under the word color, because I think it makes you, it draws your eye to that cloud and to the rainbow, which I think is fabulous. So anytime that I can have a rainbow and I can have a Labrador, it is a great day. So right now you're seeing me fiddle with little clear baubles from Trinity Stamps. If I can find a link, I will put those down below for you. And I put those down with my wet glue. Typically, when I put down my embellishments, I put them down kind of in a triangle. And I always put them in an odd number that seems to be pleasing to the eye. If you like more color or more texture, you could use colored gems, you could use stickles, you could use enamel dots of any color, shape, or size. I just kind of thought the sparkle of the baubles on the rainbow were perfect, and I wanted to keep this clean and simple, even though I'm not sure that it counts as clean and simple, but there is a lot of white space on there. So again, be sure to hop along with us. That's EFF3 if you want to continue on with the hop. Until next time, keep crafting. Have a good one. Bye bye.